Yes, it's cut. Hopefully you can look past this new hairstyle. I don't like combing it, so I just cut most of it off. But that's not what this video is about. It's about the iPhone 6 Plus. I think my voice just scratched. I'm changing the subject a lot, aren't I? I'm just gonna jump right into this, okay? So since the majority of people watching this are watching it because they want this phone and can't afford it, or are waiting for it to come in the mail, or are going to get it, or whatever. So I'm gonna start off with the pros. Keep in mind, many of these pros can be taken as cons, so I'm just gonna be listing them to you. My number one reason for choosing the iPhone 6 Plus over other smartphones and even the iPhone 6 was the 1080p display. So for you Android customers, 1080p is not something that's new to you. In fact, it would be kind of a downgrade because you may be used to 2560 by 1440. But for people who are hardcore Apple fans or just prefer iOS 8 or iOS 7 or Apple operating systems, 1080p is new. And for most, they've been saying that a display that has a PPI of over 400, then the display looks great. Obviously, Apple didn't want to go over the top, so they made their PPI 401, so they could call it a Retina HD. And I won't lie, it looks great. This is one of my primary reasons for not choosing the iPhone 6. Alright, number two is gonna be size. Again, this thing can be taken as a con, but for someone like me who has kind of a big hands, and to put perspective, I'm gonna give away some personal information here. I am a 5'11" man, Caucasian, red hair, no, 5'11" man, and I weigh 165. Yeah, 165 because that's not fat and it's not skinny. Okay. Anyway, I have big hands, and the iPhone 5 was great, and that was the last phone I had. I just had to send it back in the mail today. Kind of going through this emotional acceptance. I know, it's a piece of aluminum. I'll get over it. And that thing is pretty small. So for older people who have a hard time seeing small things, this is gonna be great for you because it can blow everything up. All the apps can be expanded, including text. So if you're tired of looking at your tiny little phone, this is gonna help a lot. And yeah, it's definitely approaching the phablet stage. But I must say, I like it. So I've had this phone for about a week now to get used to it before I could make this video. And it didn't even take me a minute to adjust to the size. As soon as I unboxed it and held it in my hand, the screen was bigger than usual, but I switched to that size expectation like that. Suddenly all my friends who had Android phones, their phones always seemed so big. Now all of a sudden their phones seem small. Anyway, for me the size was not a problem at all. However, if you are a girl with pockets that are small, or you're a small man with littler hands, this may be a problem for you. Anyway, number three, and one of the biggest reasons I wanted this phone in particular, was that camera. It's 8 megapixels, but they're good pixels, or whatever like Apple likes to call them. It takes 1080p video in 30 frames a second, or 60 frames a second. I don't know why they put 30 as an option, because 30 just looks bad. But 60 for the future, which is what I think a lot of films are going to. And then the most fun about it, slow motion video in 120 frames per second, and 240 frames per second in 720p. This is uberly fun to play with. There's tons of things you can film at a slow speed, and suddenly stuff that's really boring gets really interesting. I filmed these clips with Ross Clark, who had an airsoft gun, and we put a piece of glass in front of it, except for a couple times. Anyway, we didn't shoot the actual phone. So yeah, the camera's not filming in that giant 4K that people on Android phones have, and it's not got the uber huge megapixel counts of the Nokia Lumia. Did they even make that anymore? Anyway, yeah, it's 8 megapixels, but it takes HDR photos, time-lapse of slow-mo. It's a great camera. Plus, the 6 Plus has optical image stabilization, which is good for people who like to take videos but have a little bit of a shaky hand. This will stable everything up. And of course, I am a memory hog. If you didn't know, my computers collaboratively have 9 terabytes. So I knew I'd be filling up this thing fast, which is why I got the 128 gigabyte model. And yeah, it was expensive, but worth it. Number 4, I don't know if I'm counting anymore, but it feels great in your hand. The last iPhone was boxy and it kind of cut into your hand a little bit. This one's edges are seamless, so holding it is a lot easier and easier. I said that. Number 5, I don't know why I'm still counting. And this was on the 5S, but it's Touch ID. I didn't have Touch ID on my iPhone 5, and switching to it was awesome. Not having to enter your password every time you get an app or a song is so much easier. So I'm glad they did that last year. So for all you Android people who are trying to find a way to destroy this thing, let's move on to the cons. So probably the biggest con that you're all wondering about. Does it bend? Yes, I know everyone can bend it with their bare hands if you force it to, and I'm not going to do that for you today because I like this thing. Ever since I got this, everyone has been asking me that question, does it bend? Some people thought it was supposed to bend, like on purpose. Obviously, I didn't let them hold it, but I'm gonna have a separate video about all this bending stuff, because the truth of the matter, the fact of the truth of the fact is that it's not any more fragile than the last phones. The only difference is, since it's bigger, you have more surface area to grab from and force. So yeah, lots of phones actually bend, but if you recall, Apple informed everyone that only 9 devices bend. Keep in mind that's out of the 10 million they sold on their opening weekend. So no, this wasn't a big problem, but the press likes to find something to penetrate and use as leverage. It was a big story, I know. But build-wise, trust me, this is not a bending feeling phone. Applying light pressure doesn't feel anything. Like, you're gonna have to try pretty hard to get this thing to bend. And if you've seen the bend videos, you know what I mean. And yeah, it's probably a bad idea to put this in your back pocket, but the videos that I have seen with people doing that, it's not an easy bend. And of course, the Galaxy Note 4 bent too, but it's not, there's more surface area, people. Come on, it's not like, come on. Again, a con for this phone might also be the size for you. The pockets on the jeans I'm wearing right now are kind of small. I'll show you how it fits in them, and it's not very well. Try to make this not look awkward. I'm trying, okay? Yeah, it sticks out a bit. So you can imagine when you have a case on this thing, it's gonna kind of be bulky. And when you're holding it with one hand, using it stuff, you kind of feel like you might drop it. They got that nice little software feature where you can reach it over. I didn't think I'd be using that. It's actually very handy. For previous iPhone users, the on and off button's on the side now, and is that hard to get used to? No, because when you naturally hold it, your thumb's already there. You don't have to worry about it. That's not a rip-off of Android, just saying it's just because your hand can't go all the way up there. A happy surprise for a lot of Apple users is the extended battery life, and it does have a better battery life, the 6 Plus over the 6. I'm used to having to charge it, you know, every day with my 5, but with this it could probably take me 2 days with casual use, and on a Saturday with all day use it could take me through the whole day. Very pleasant surprise that I wasn't really thinking about. Back to the cons, that gig of RAM is a little suspicious of why they still have a gig. Why didn't they put in more? If you look at the competitions, they're a little behind. I'm guessing Apple's theory was with the iOS 8 smart sharing of the RAM that 1 gig would appear like more, but I don't think it was giving off what they were hoping for. But of course you know all this. Overall, if you're asking me if I recommend this phone, if you have big hands, yes. If you don't have big hands, I'd probably say go with the 6. And by all means, please don't let the bending rumors, not rumors, don't let the bending events steer you away from this phone. It's a very solid phone holding it. Trust me, it's not gonna be fragile. Hope you liked my views on it, and I'll upload some more comparison videos later. I'm gonna try to compare it to an LG G3 and of course an iPhone 6. And maybe an S5, but I know that might not be quite a fair fight. At the moment, I don't know anyone with a Galaxy Note 4, so I know that would be a worthy adversary. Didn't I say something about not doing unboxing videos? Oh crap. Well, you know, they get a lot of views, as dumb as they are, so there you go. Bye.